The 1290 Super Adventure S KTM. It's a 2020 model. This is a kind of a year-end review of this thing. I'm trading it in today on another Triumph. Came from a Triumph Rocket 3 onto this bike and put about 40,000 kilometers on it. I bought it at the beginning of the 2022 season. It's now June 2024. I'd had this bike across the country a couple times. It's been a fairly decent bike. Gotta say it's a pretty good little touring machine, to be honest with you. I put the Touratech KTM branded cases on it. Got those at ktmparts.ca if you're ever looking for parts. Highly recommend them. No, they did not pay me to say that. I just happen to like their service. So we'll talk a little bit about what I like and what I didn't like about this bike. It is absolutely a mile eater. All day long, 120 kilometers an hour if that's your thing. 75 mile an hour if you want to talk about that. So I added the Rubitech tank protector. Put that on there. Put the obviously put the side bags on it. I added the skid plate underneath it and crash bars. Other than that, really didn't do much to it at all. Kind of some expensive mods, but these are the things that you need when you're out riding in the middle of nowhere and you're tipping the bike over every now and again, as you can see, as evidenced by the nice little dent on the side of that bag there. So overall impressions of this bike, I got to tell you, the seat has got to be the hardest thing I've ever sat on. I'm pretty sure, like they said, KTM give me wood. I'm pretty sure that they put it all in the seat, to be honest with you. And that seat gets hot. So I was down in Virginia last week. Decided to go ride the Blue Ridge Parkway and Skyline Drive. So heading down towards North Carolina, Virginia, and all that, West Virginia. That seat, we had, I think it was about 38, 39 degrees Celsius outside. I think that seat was probably about 50 Celsius. Don't pay for a seat heater if you're planning on getting a Super Adventure S. This is the S model, by the way. I think in retrospect, I probably would have bought the R model had I known better. I didn't. For day-to-day operations, this is an excellent commuting bike. It does very, very well on the highway and whatnot, back and forth to work. Don't mind that at all. It's fairly light. It comes in about 500 pounds, fully fueled. It's got a nice little touring windscreen on it. This thing goes up and down. Little crank on the side of it there. You can raise and lower the windscreen if you need a little bit more protection. I've had to do several brake fluid changes. One thing I did notice is that it does heat up that brake fluid quite well. This was changed not even 3 months ago, and well, it's already starting to get a little bit dark. Ditto for the rear brake. I've changed the chain and sprockets on it. Not a hard job at all. KTM makes it pretty easy to take this bike apart, with the exception of the air filter. If you're a person who likes to do the maintenance yourself, oil changes are dead simple, but getting to that air filter means you need to remove all of this plastic, all of this fairing. You need to remove this signal light assembly. You need to take the tank off, so you need to unhinge all of the pipe fittings underneath. So you gotta basically take that apart, take off this fuel line, all that, take the tank off. Typical sport bike type mentality when it comes to that. If you've ever done an air filter on a sport bike, it's very similar. Take half the bike apart to change a $50 part that should take you about 5 seconds to do. Kind of sucks if you're out on on a trail somewhere where you've got lots of dust and stuff. I was planning on taking this thing to Utah, thinking about the desert, and I was thinking, wow, what am I going to do to keep the dust out of there? And it's kind of a pain in the ass that way. So I put the heated grips on it as well. I did it myself, and then the dealer charged me $160, I think, to actually activate them. Gotta love KTM for that. Everything needs to be done through their own system. There is a Tune ECU module for KTM. This bike in particular doesn't allow you to do really much with it, unfortunately. So some of the features on this bike, obviously you've got different riding modes. You can change pretty much everything you want to do on it. So damping, you've got sport, street, comfort, off-road. Off-road's pretty good. Gives you pretty decent suspension travel considering that it's not really a dirt bike. With load, rider, luggage, rider pillion, and luggage. So you can change the way you change the way basically the way the suspension behaves. Your ride mode, street, rain, off-road, sport. I don't think I've ever taken it much in anything above. I ride in sport all the time, and when I'm off-road, I put it in off-road mode. You can turn off your traction control, although I found it doesn't actually turn it all the way off. You can turn your they say you can turn your ABS off. Again, I don't think it turns it all the way off, because I've turned it all the way off and not been able to drag that rear tire around a corner the way I would like to. Could be user error, but it felt like that was on almost all the time. In terms of long distance riding on this thing, it's not bad. It's one of those things that you really got to get used to. It does not like 50 miles an hour. So, you know, you get a lot of roads, 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometers an hour. You get a lot of roads that are 80 here in Ontario. And it'll do fine at 80. But if it's an 80 kilometer an hour speed limit or a 50 mile an hour speed limit, chances are you're going to be doing 10 over. And fifth gear versus sixth gear, you could toggle back and forth on that thing all day long, literally, because it cannot find a decent speed to do it at. The bike likes to do 110, 115 kilometers an hour, you know, 68 to 72 kilometers an hour, basically. Anything below that, you're toggling in between that gear 5, gear 6. It lugs, it fights you. If you're going up a grade in sixth, and you're doing, let's say, 100 on the nose or 60, you got to gear down, because it's a bag of nails in there. That's all you hear is that rattling around. It feels like it's lugging. It likes to sit at about 4,000 RPMs when it's out on the highway, and it's kind of new to me. I came from that Triumph, like I said. It's more of a low revving bike. So overall, what have I done to the bike in terms of repairs? Well, I did chain and sprockets and rear brake. That's the extent of the actual repairs I've did. My complaints about the location of the kickstand here. Anybody who rides anything off-road, you'll know one little impact on that. It's attached to the engine case, so you're going to crack the engine case. Skid plate should save you from that, we would hope, but unless you tip it on the side, and it happens to impact that way. When you're fully loaded up with gear, which I am prone to be, I like to camp, so I've got cases loaded up with gear. You know, I've got a tent in here, and I've got my kitchen kit over there. I've got, you know, your tool kits and everything you need to do to go camping for a week or two. And then I usually have a bag up here with sleeping bag and all my clothes and all that. Maybe 50 pounds. You put it on that tiny little kickstand, I swear, it feels like the whole bike wants to come over on you. And being a tall bike, getting on and off of it, you're 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot over the seat. You need to put some pressure on that, and as you're coming off after a long day of riding, when you're tired, it really feels like the pressure on that kickstand is too much for this bike, to be honest with you. I wish they would have installed it maybe on the rear foot peg. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but that kickstand does not do the trick. It's a piece of shit, to be honest with you. I was afraid, literally, to break that thing off at times. I did change the foot pegs. I changed them away from the weeny little ones that were about, let's say, about this long and about, I don't know, probably about 3/4 of the width. You know, if you ever want to stand up on a bike, you need this. You have to put them on. So, final review. I would recommend the bike. I'd recommend you get the R version. You want to get the 19-inch out of there and get that 21-inch on if you're going to do any kind of dirt riding. The active suspension is wonderful on it. Overall, the bike has been dead reliable. I haven't had any issues with starting. I haven't had any issues with stalling. I've taken this bike to places that it probably shouldn't have been. I've been in deep sand. I've been in all over the place. I changed over to the this tire here when I was down in California. This is a Moto Z, however you say that, Motoz Tractionator GPS. And I will say, I put that on the front and the back. It made a world of difference. The longevity on that tire is fantastic. This particular tire here is one that I just took off prior to doing the trip, and I mean, it's still got decent tread on it. And considering I probably put 22,000 kilometers on that, I mean 22, and the wear bar is way the fuck down there. Like it's anyway. On this bike, it's a pretty good match, that Moto Z Tractionator GPS. So, anything else you want to know, ask in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you got. But I'd recommend KTM. I do like it. and it's been a good bike. I'm moving over to a Triumph Speed Twin. I know, a completely different type of bike, but my plan is to buy maybe a second bike, a dirt bike, a real dirt bike, something I can get absolutely filthy and drop and not worry about parts. Anyway, like I said, I'll answer any questions in the comments, and thanks for watching.